Let's learn how to crochet. Crochet is a wonderful pastime that doesn't require very many supplies, so it's a great project to take on the go, and you don't need very many tools to start. I have some worsted weight yarn. This is yarn with a weight of 4, and I'm using a 5mm crochet hook, and I also have a pair of scissors. And while you won't need them today, it's also handy to have a yarn needle with a blunt tip and a few stitch markers. Today we're going to start with one of the most basic skills, which is making a chain. It's the foundation of most crochet projects, but it can also be the hardest to learn. If you're just starting, it may take a little bit of time to pick this up, but if you stick with it, it gets much easier. We're going to start by learning how to make a slip knot. The end of the yarn that is still connected to the skein is called your working yarn. The end of the yarn that is loose is called the tail. You're going to take the tail end of the yarn and loop it over the working yarn. The tail will be on top, the working yarn on the bottom. And you're going to reach through the loop and grab the working yarn. And there's your slip knot. Let's try that one more time. Take the tail of your yarn and fold it over the working yarn. The tail should be on the top. Then reach through the loop, flipping it over, and grab your working yarn. Pull. And there's your slip knot. You're going to place your hook inside the slip knot, grip the knot lightly, and then pull the working yarn to make the slip knot smaller. You want it to rest loosely around your hook. You don't want it to be too big, like that, and you don't want it to be super tight. You just want it to rest gently against your hook. Your dominant hand, the hand that you write with, is going to be working the hook. Your non-dominant hand, the hand you don't write with, has 2 jobs. This hand has to hold both your yarn and your project. In this case, we're going to be making a chain, so we'll hold our working yarn and the chain we're making. People have lots of different ways that they like to hold the yarn, and one of the hardest things to learn is what works best for you. You just have to practice and make a lot of chains and see what feels comfortable for your hands. My preferred method is to wrap the working yarn around my fingers. I'll drape the working yarn over my pinky, under my ring finger, over my middle finger, and then around my pointer finger. And then I can press and close my fingers together to manage the tension. And then I can hold my project with my thumb and these 3 fingers here. So I'll grip my project here. Let me show you. So this manages my yarn, and I usually point my pointer finger up like this, and then these 3 fingers will hold my project. And right now, all I've got's the slip knot. And then I'll chain, which I'll show you how to do a bit later. But those 3 back fingers are holding my project, and I'm constantly moving them so I have a nice grip on my project so that it doesn't shift or move around on me. That's how I like to hold it. Let me show you another option. Some people prefer to drape the yarn over their 3 back fingers and over their forefinger, gripping the project with their thumb and first finger. With this technique, crocheters hold their work with their thumb and pointer finger, adjusting their grip as they go. This is a really common technique, but it doesn't feel very natural to me. So I prefer weaving it throughout my fingers and holding the project with my 3 lower fingers and thumb. I like the nice straight strip of yarn that this provides for pulling through my loop. Now let me show you how you do that. Put your hook through your slip knot. Then determine the grip that works best for you. Use your non-dominant hand to hold your yarn and your slip knot. And your dominant hand will be holding your hook. To make a chain, place the hook over the yarn. Notice that the hook is in front of my yarn. Then dip the point behind the yarn so that the point of the hook now has that yarn right in the groove. Turn the hook so that the point goes towards the base of your slip knot where you're holding. And gently and loosely, letting the yarn move, pull the hook through the loop. When I'm holding, my fingers are separated, they're not touching to allow the yarn to move. So the yarn can move freely in between my fingers. Then I'm going to adjust my grip. Again, I'm holding the chain I just made. I've got my hook over the yarn. I'm going to wrap it around, turn the hook so that it's facing the base of my new knot right here where I'm holding. And I'm going to gently and loosely pull it through. Hook over. Grab the yarn, turn the hook, and gently, while letting the yarn move, pull it through. Adjust your grip, hook on top, yarn over, turn your hook, and pull through. If this hooked side of your crochet hook is not pointing down towards the bottom, it often doesn't want to go through. So let me show you a closer look of what I mean. Do you see the loop that's around the crochet hook? When you slide the crochet hook through, you want the curved end of the crochet hook, the hooked part, to be pointing towards that bottom. You'll notice that this section here has the most space. That's going to allow the hook to slide through. If your crochet hook is turned to the side, it's going to get caught on all of this yarn and it won't pass by. But if the hooked part is facing the bottom, it just slips right out. So when you make your chain, you want to make sure that the hooked part is facing down so it can pass right through. So again, gently pull that little slip knot there so that the loop is gently around your hook. Hook in front, yarn over, turn the hook so that the pointed end is facing towards the bottom of that loop, and gently pull it through. The chain stitch creates nice little V's. You can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 V patterns, and then this right here is my slip knot. If yours don't look like that, it could be that your chain is getting twisted and turning around, and so you just want to be careful how you hold this as you're chaining. One thing that commonly happens when we first learn to chain is that our chains can be too tight or too loose. Too loose will leave big gaps, which we don't want. This could be solved by using a smaller hook or just holding your yarn a little tighter. And if you are getting it much too tight, if it's difficult to pull your hook through, then you just want to loosen up your grip on your yarn. Let it just slide through your fingers as you chain. When you start to get far away from your grip, that's when it could accidentally spin and turn on you. So adjust your grip. So stop every couple stitches. And adjust your grip. One thing that's also common when people try to start is they'll yarn over and then they try to take this hand to pull the loop over the hook. You really don't want to do that because it will make future stitches much more difficult to master. And while this may be tricky at the beginning, if you learn how to hold it this way, or a way that's comfortable for you so that your non-dominant hand can hold your yarn and your project, and your dominant hand only has to work the hook, that's the best way. It lets you chain faster and will make more complicated stitches easier. So let's go over that again. Drape the yarn over your fingers. Grip your project. Place your hook over your yarn and place the yarn over the hook. Turn the hook so the point is facing down and gently pull it through. Yarn over, turn, pull through. You should feel the yarn sliding through your fingers. This is what your chain looks like from the front and from the back. You'll know you've got it when all the V's from your chain are facing the same direction, when all the V's are the same size, and if your V's are loose enough that you can easily poke your hook through. If your V's are really tight and you can't poke your hook through the center of the V, it will make the next stitch really difficult. So if you're not quite there yet, keep practicing, have fun making a chain. It's also really easy to go from a chain to a friendship bracelet. Simply grab your scissors and clip your working yarn. And as if you're making a chain, yarn over and pull it through, but this time keep going. The end should come through. That's called fastening off. And now you've got a nice friendship bracelet. So it's a fun way to practice and it'll help you when you're mastering the next stitch.